Hi beautiful people, so we are out in our garden working hard today, and what we are doing today is actually putting in some cuttings of rosemary. So we thought we'd talk you through it. Gemma is going through and cutting all of the cuttings. She's doing a fantastic job with some battery operated secateurs. You've got to work a bit smarter, not harder these days, don't you? So I'll turn them around. So basically here, what we do is we're getting the hard rosemary, and Gemma's cutting off all the floppy bits and then stripping off. We might strip off just a little bit more, and then she's cutting on, if you can see that, on a really sharp angle, as much as she can possibly get. Might have to go out like that. So there she is, cutting off all the floppy bits. Now it is a bit late in the season to do this, but we have just been getting so much rain and it's been so mild and humid that we thought we'd give it a good crack. Hey Gem? So we've prepared the bed. So along here, this is our seed raising beds. So these seed raising beds, we raise all the herbs in here, and then we transplant them down into our herb cropping area down there. Whoop, there it is there. So the calendulas we're growing up here for the seed, so that's why they look like that. We've just transplanted a whole heap of Roman chamomile. There's still some there, some seedlings there, hundreds of them down there. And now we're going to turn this part into rosemary and then the second part into lavender cuttings. So we have prepared the bed. We've replenished it with some fresh compost, and we've also put some fish compost on top and then straw. And of course you want the straw on top because you don't want your soil to see daylight, is the whole point. Now, to plant our cuttings, Gemma's doing an amazing job here. The best way to do it is with honey. And that's because honey has got natural hormones in it that help to promote root growth. So what we need to do is make a hole. You don't want to shove the cutting in and get rid of all that honey. And also the soil can also disturb all of the bark. So we don't want that. Might just get him off a little bit more. So by stripping it, all those buds there, all those the areas where there were little leaves and foliage, that's where the roots should come out. So we want to give it a really good coating of honey. Pop him in. Press the soil around it. There you go. That is rosemary cuttings. Good wintry morning to you. So today's activities rosemary, which is amazing. You're not a rosemary. What are you doing? So we're going to dig them out, put them in the side by side and take them down to the herb garden. Let's get organised. So the reason why we do cuttings up here in a bed is because when you do cuttings in a really large area, they can get really choked and overwhelmed by weeds. So heavily fertilised, which means there are a lot of weeds grow because it is so nitrogen rich. So the soils, we've got lots of compost in there. So it's super, so we leave them in there for a good, say, 2 seasons. And when we dig them out, because there are a lot of weeds, we try and bare root them. That's why it's best to do it in winter when the rosemary is a little bit dormant. So, and we want to pick through those roots and make sure we get all those weeds out before we put them down into the main herb garden. Check this out here. So this stem here, branch, was touching the soil, so you can see it's rooted. So we can cut that, and that's another plant. That's a seedling right there. So I'll do that when I get down there. This is Chili Cam. Chili's got to learn to ride in the side by side in the little farm vehicle that we've got here. She doesn't like it.
Come on, Chili.
Come on, Chili. Come on. Come on, up. Chili, come on, up. Come on, up. You can do it. You can do it. Good girl. Good girl, come on, up. It's not scary. Come on, up. Up. Come on, up. Good girl. Alrighty. It's not scary. Greg's off to get some forks, some pitchforks. Go get forks, Greg. Look at him. Oh, it's so naughty. Anyway, so we've had the big talk. So we've got 23 rosemary to plant out. I was going to put them over there, but I have decided I want them along here. Much to Greg's disgust. But this is the chamomile bed that we spoke about last week. It's just proving too hard with the weeds when we harvest the chamomile. So when we harvest the chamomile with so many weeds in them, we're getting weed seeds in with the chamomile. I don't like it. It's too hard to process. So we've decided to have less chamomile in a more productive way. So we're going to clear this bed. Greg's not very happy with me. Wow. It's not that he's not happy with me. It's more to the point that we didn't prepare. The bed's not prepared to put the rosemary straight in. So we've got to work pretty fast because the rosemary are barefoot, but they're in all those containers, so they are protected, but they are bare root. It is winter, which is a good time to do this sort of thing because they're a little bit dormant. They can handle just a little bit of rough treatment. So my job is going to be to go through the best chamomile. So where it's really nice and thick here, because when they come out, I'm going to have to try and get them out without the weeds, and then I'm going to put them over into this pre-prepared bed. It's smaller. I'm going to do quite a thick line channel of the chamomile, so it's going to be easier for us to weed, and we can really snuggle them in with the green manure, and we can get the chip up nice and close to them so we can really suppress those weeds. So suppressing the weeds for the chamomile, that's the most important thing. So this is the peppermint that we put in last week. They're looking good. They've even grown, and it's winter. It's the middle of winter. They're looking fantastic. Alright, so I better get to it, hey? You know how I said last week about Greg's got all these fancy smancy tools? Well, look at this. He reckons he doesn't. Fancy smancy, look at that. That's just fancy smancy tool.
This is fancier. This thing.
Look at that, and
Called a
look.
broad fork. It's awesome in fertile soils. Awesome in fertile soils it is. Take my gloves off. Great for, as I say, the soil's had fairly fertile.
So this is, it's not like fully digging, it's moving the roots so we can pull them out. Oh my gosh, that smells so good, the chamomile. So what I'm doing is going through the clumps that Greg's digging out, and I'm getting all the weeds out. Trying to work smarter, not harder, because I don't like it when it's all full of weeds. So, and I'm getting them into a nice bunch like that, putting them into my basket, and then planting them out. So in the beautiful green manure beds that we have created, so this had the summer green manure. This is the beautiful green manure that we grew last summer for the beds that we're planting into now. All we did was crimp it down, we didn't dig it in. So I've got a nice clump here with some very mature roots on it. So this soil is just so lush and so full of life. So I'm just basically going to dig a little hole with Greg's fancy smancy tool, pop him in there, and backfill. Lovely.
Afternoon everyone. We've got some weed mat. We're going to put this underneath. We're going to plant into this for our rosemary. So trying to work harder, not tough. Trying to work smarter, not harder. So we've got a organic weed mat here, environmentally friendly, sustainable, easy install, made from, where is it? Made from renewable vegetable byproducts. You know, cut this up. We don't have enough to do the whole bed, so we're going to experiment with this. Cut it into smaller bits, and then get a couple rolls so we can do the rest of the bed. Put this weed mat down, then put a bit of wood chip over the top of it for the rosemary.
Because it's an evergreen, so and evergreens, they do. It just gives a chance for the weeds to get underneath evergreens, where things like the chamomile, where you can pull them out, you can replant them and all that sort of stuff, where things like rosemary, we've just got to think about it a bit better, don't we?
Yeah, and because we've weeded through here, we've exposed the dirt. So ideally, you don't want the sun to keep the sun off the soil. We want to keep the life in the soil, so we want to get this the soil covered up as soon as we can.
Yep.
So that's another reason for this, to keep the microbes, to keep the life in the soil.
Yep.
So that's another reason to put this down as soon as we can. Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
First baby in. So this is the eco mat that we're trialing, and this is so easy to plant in. So we've given it a good water all the way down, and pop him in, give him a little bit of a organic fertilizer, and whack the weed mat around. Okay, so when we were talking about seedlings and planting seeds, and you have to use, it's best to use like a mist to water them in. Where bigger plants like this, you want to use a fairly heavy watering in, because we've got to fill in all those air bubbles I should say, on those big roots. So we actually want to go pretty hard in there, and I'll let that settle overnight and then come back tomorrow and probably put a little bit more soil around them. And they should be pretty good. Busy day today, hey Greg?
Very, yes.
We've
cracking.
So we've done all these rosemaries here, and also with the chamomile over here in this bed, about 80 in here.